Welcome back guys in the next video of Node.js series. In this video we are going to discuss about socket.library, which is a very important library in Node.js. For understanding, we are going to first discuss a real world example. Just imagine you're watching a live cricket match online with your friends. Whenever a batsman hits a six, the score instantly updates on everyone's screen at the same time without you having to refresh the page. So this happens because there is a continuous two-way conversation between your browser and the server. So that's exactly what socket.io makes possible. So it will be instant real-time communication, just like a live scoreboard, or you can say live chat, or even multiplayer gaming. So socket.io library in Node.js enables real-time bi-directional communication between the servers and the clients. This keeps a constant connection open, so both server and client can send messages to each other instantly. And it's very commonly used for chat applications, live notifications, real-time dashboards, and multiplayer games. Before you start working with socket.io, there are some important functions or events that you need to know. And these are commonly used for establishing, maintaining, and handling real-time communication between the client and server. So first one we have io.on, where the name of the event is connection, which is the first parameter, and second will be the callback function. This is fired whenever a client connects. Second one is socket.on, where the first parameter as a custom defined event name. Second is the callback. This will listen for custom events sent from the client or maybe from the server. It depends. It depends who is listening to the messages, who is receiving the messages. So whenever you want to receive the message, you will use socket.on. The third one is socket.emit. So here also you have first parameter as event name. Second one is the data. So emit means that you want to send the data to any connected client. And data will be the data that needs to be sent. To perform the communication between the client and server, we need to create two files. A client file and there will be a server file. So before that, very important, we have to install the socket.io library, npm I socket.io. So we'll wait till this gets installed. It is installed. This library is used to be utilized inside the server file. Now we are going to install another library that will be used inside the client file. And this is required only if your client file is a JavaScript file. You can also create an HTML file, but that I will be explaining later on. First of all, we are going to create both server and client files as JavaScript files. So for the client, we need socket.io-client. This is not required when you are creating the client file as a simple front-end file. So this is also now installed. Now you can create two files. I'll be creating a file as server1.js and another file client1.js. Let's import the client-side socket library, import io from socket.io client. So this script is actually going to connect to the server. Then we need a variable socket equals to io. This will connect to the socket.io server that will run on the following port number. So you need to put http, whatever the port number you want to use, local host, and let's say we want to use 3000 port number. Now this client has its own socket object. Now we will be using this socket object, use on method, and first parameter we need is the name of the event, and that is the built-in event connect. And second parameter is the callback function, where we only need to print one statement connected to the server. So right now we are not sending any message, we won't be receiving any message. All we are checking is that some connection is being established between client and server. Now open this server1.js file and import the create server from http, then import server from socket.io. So the first line is used to create the HTTP server, while the second one is used to create a WebSocket server on the top of that HTTP server. Then after this, we are going to create an empty HTTP server. Const HTTP equals to create server. So right now it doesn't have any web pages, but we will be using it for socket.io communication. Then we are going to create a new socket.io server. Const io equals to new server, and then pass this HTTP inside this. So what we are doing here, we are creating a new socket.io server and attach it to the HTTP server. Let's now check for the connection. Now whenever the server wants to check if any client is connected, we need to use io.on pass connection as the name of the event, and we need the socket parameter. Socket means we are passing the callback function, and inside this just one statement is required, one message is required, client is connected. The client is connected. And since you are simply checking the connection, so you should also know that whenever a particular client is disconnected. So for this, we need to use socket.on. Whenever particular client is disconnecting, we need to use socket.on pass the name of the event as disconnect. Then console.log, we need to receive the message, means the server is going to receive the message here, client is disconnected. Right. So remember, whenever you want to connect, whenever the server wants to check that if there is any connection established from any client, then use io.on connection. And if the server wants to check if any client has disconnected, then use socket.on disconnect. Now finally you have to make your server to listen by using http.listen, and let's say 3000 is the port number. We have to use the same port number as we have used here. It needs to be exactly same. Now inside this you can pass the callback function if you need. So for now I'm passing console.log server is running on port number 3000. Now we are good to go to check the working. So first of all, open the terminal and just split, because in the first one we are going to run the server, and in the second one we are going to run the client. So we have to be careful in this, that we have to run both the files, as both our files are JavaScript files. So write node, you can write nodemon as well. Right now I'm using node server 1. Okay, so this says that module not found. Okay, just a second. So node server 1, yeah, without space. Server is running. Now let's run the client, node client 1. Now as you can see here, for the timing you don't see any other message apart from server is running on port number 3000. Now the moment you're going to connect your client, you will see client is connected here, and on the client side you will see connected to the server. Same way you can also open another terminal, and this is going to simulate another client, means a second client. So the moment you connect, you see client is connected, right? Now let me just delete or kill this terminal. You see client is disconnected, and let me just stop running the client. Client is disconnected. So actually this is how you simulate the establishment of connection between client and server. Since now we know that the connection is being established, a two-way connection is being established, now we can start sending the messages. So for the very first time we are going to send the message from client to the server. So remember, we discussed that to send the message we need to use socket.emit. So if you are the client and you are the client and you are sending the message, so you need to use socket.emit and pass any custom defined or user defined event name. Let's say the name is message. This is totally up to the user. Whatsoever the event name you want to create, you can. So I can just write hello from client to the server. Okay, hello from client to the server. Right. Now your client is sending the message, but your server also needs to listen to that message. So for this, here, when you are establishing the connection, you need to use socket.on. On means that you are listening. So one thing I would like to clarify, when you use socket.on with a custom defined event, means you want to listen to the message. And if you're using socket.on with the event name as disconnect, it means that you simply want to check whether the client is disconnected. Now in this case, server wants to listen to the message. So you need to pass the same event name as you have passed here in the client. Socket.on message, pass the callback function console.log. We need to have the received message. Received. Okay, I'll write it again. Received message and comma. Now how do we know what is the message? The message, the parameter is here. So inside socket.emit, we passed here two parameters, the name of the event and the actual message. So in order for the server to listen, in the callback function, you have to pass the parameter. Anything, it could be data, it could be message. I'm passing here MSG, means that I want to listen to the message. Now, quite simple. You can now once again run your server and run your client as well. So client is connected, received message, hello from client. So we have established a communication from client to server. Can we now do the other way around? Means your server is now sending the message and the client is receiving it. Quite easy, you just have to interchange the functions. So your client will be listening to the message now. So that's why I'm putting socket.on message, received a message as message inside the client, while the function that is actually emitting the message or sending the message that I'll be putting inside the server. So socket.emit, everything will remain the same. I'm only going to change the message hello from server to the client. Right. So let's check it out again. Node server 1 and here client 1. So can you see? Your client has now received the message hello from server to the client. Now this is how we work in case if we have both the files as JavaScript files. Now we are going to create the client file as an HTML file. So first of all, I'm going to create server.js and another one I'm going to create client.html. Remember, now you have to create an HTML file. So let's have the basic HTML template, and here you will be required to create a script tag. One script tag will be for the source of socket, socket.io/socket.io.js. Right. And we also need one more script tag where we will be. So I have simply pasted the code from the client1.js. I'm going to connect to the server and I'm going to emit the message. Before this, you need to create the variable const socket equals to io. Let's have a look again what we have done. So here we are loading the socket.io client library from your server. So from where this is exactly coming, this is coming from the node_modules. Just expand this and find the socket.io and you'll be able to find client distribution, and this is socket.io.js. Right, so this is just for knowledge purpose. Then we are creating the socket.io client and this connects to the same port number that will be mentioned inside the server file, and that's it. So here we are connecting and we are sending a message. Now let's come to server.js, and there are going to be very few changes inside server.js. So I'm simply going to copy the code of server1.js and paste it here. Now let's see what changes we are going to make. Since we are having an HTML file to be sent to the server, we need to import now Express inside the server.js. Import Express from Express, then import create server, from HTTP. Rest of the code is almost going to remain the same. Import server from socket.io, and also we need to create the instance of Express. So I'm going to use const app equals to Express, then create HTTP create server. This time you have to pass the app instance inside the create server method. Then const io equals to new server HTTP. So right now we are required to send the file using app.get. I have already explained in one of the videos of Express how you can send the file over the server. Request and response, response.send file. Send file, where you have to use path.join directory name and pass the name of your file, that is client.html. Right? Then after this you're good to go with whatever you have inside the server one.js. So let me just copy the code from here and I'm going to paste it here. Your server has to send the message. So I'll change this one to socket.on. The name of my event is message. Pass the callback function msg console.log received message. Received message as msg. Okay. Now there were certain modules and variables that were required to be imported before you actually send your file over the server. So this is what is here. Import the path module, file URL to path. You have to create file name and directory name variables. This is just only to resolve your file name. That's it. You can go back to my second video of Express where I am explaining about how you can send the file over the server, and I have already explained the purpose of these lines over there. Here it has to be server. Yeah, that seems fine now. Okay, so let's check. Node server, I hope everything should be fine. Path has already been declared. So, yeah, it is already here. By default, the moment you use that module, it is already inserted. Anyhow, fine. So, right, so it is working now. Let's go to localhost 3000. Right, so client is sending the message, right? So we need to check the terminal hello from client. This seems a wrong message. So I'm changing this to hello from client with form. Alright, so now you can see it's hello from client with form. Now time for the practical based task. You have to create a Node.js application Using Express and Socket.io, where the server continuously emits a greeting message, hello, to the client every 2 seconds. And the client listens for this event and displays the message on the web page. Means this time server is sending the message and client should receive the message on the web page. That's all in this video. In the next video, we will learn about broadcasting messages using Socket.io.